the Indiana Fever 5-game winning streak has come to an end, but that's not all.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, so the Indiana Fever 5-game winning streak came to an end tonight to a score of 99-88 to the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who's been the other hot team that came after the Olympic break. But this game, the Fever could have won this game. Technically, they could have won this game. But some blame his size, some blame Caitlin. I think there's been a little bit blame all across the board. Kelsey Mitchell didn't have her best shooting night, but she did came on in the second half as Caitlin rode the ship in the first half. I think she had 17 points going into the halftime. But nevertheless, the team, Boston, she had a good first half, but the second half, she didn't really do too much. She kind of was complaining about fouls, which the referees was not calling fouls on the Indiana Fever. And it just seemed like the referees made sure that the Indiana Fever did not win this game. Because the fact of the matter, no matter how much the Indiana Fever in the first half of this game, they led by the first quarter 27-19. Then they went up by 5 at halftime. The third quarter was the telling of the tape, and which is the Indiana Fever's probably the worst quarter of the year is the third quarter. And they got outscored by the Lynx 29-12. And that means the referees in that quarter pretty much was putting the Lynx on the line as much. The Lynx tonight was at the foul line 25 times to the Fever 13. The Fisher caller by herself had 10 of those fouls. You could not get to the. There was no way you could get to the line. Caitlin Clark, she had 25 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, almost another triple-double in this game. I think she probably would have got it as some of her teammates had, did what they did. She was perfect from the free throw line. Mitchell was perfect for the free throw line. Boston was perfect for the free throw line. So Clark was 5 for 10 for 3, 4 from 8 for Mitchell, 2 for 2 for Lexi Hall. And this. Before I even go any deeper, I think this is the part I need to get into, because I was talking to a person on Twitter, and it was talking about how Chrissy Sides took out Lexi Hall when she got her 5th foul instead of let her play through it. And you didn't have another body, especially Damaris Johnson didn't even play a lot in this game. Timmy Fambelli played 15 minutes, Katie Lou 9, Damaris Johnson 7 minutes. She only gave you 1 foul. She was a +3. So you really didn't allow her to play in the game as much. And you gave Katie Lou, 9 minutes, which she was 1 for from 2 from 3. But still, you could have used somebody like another shooter on the floor, which Erica Wheeler was providing points. She scored, she hit a 3, and she had 2 points. So she gave points to our bench that only had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They only had 10 points off the bench. And we can't win games like that because we can't rely on Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark to be the scoring output of this game. Melissa Smith, she didn't even have a good game today. She had 7 rebounds, only 2 points in 23 minutes. So, and she didn't. And you got to give credit to the Minnesota Lynx too, because they adjusted their defense in the second half. They started smothering the paint because Aaliyah Boston was killing them in the first half. They had the Indiana Fever had 20, I think 25, 26 points in the paint, where where Lil Boston was getting, she was making her living down there. So what the Minnesota Lynx did, they adjusted to it and they started packing the paint, smothering the paint every time she touched the ball. Instead of her kick out, they either force a turnover or the referees won't call a foul. And some of them was fouls. Now this one play with Melissa Smith had got a rebound and she should have got a foul call on this. But they, again, they knowing it as a jump ball. Take a look. Now, Alyssa Smith could have got hurt on that play because that was a clear foul. The referees, like I say, they made it a jump ball. Kelsey Mitchell had another 20-point game, but she was 7 from 19 from the field. Clark was 8 from 21. To be honest with you, their shooting nights was bad. They needed more from if Alyssa Smith could have gave them 14 points, that would have put them in what? That would have gave them 92 points. Well, no, that would have gave them 102 points because no, they would have won. So Melissa Smith could have gave them, if she had gave them at least 14 points, or Dantes gave them 7 points off the bench. And then, like I said, with the situation with Lexi Hall, she fouled out with 6 fouls, and I think they was being aggressive on Lexi because Lexi they know how good of a defensive person Lexi Hall is. So what they did is kind of like went after her to get her out of the rhythm. Then when I think the matchup with Timmy in the first half on Nafisha Carter was the right move, but in the second half they didn't do that. They utilized Boston on her, which Nafisha Carter was taking Boston to the basket over and over and over again, and Boston couldn't hang with her. They needed somebody faster, and that's what I would have put Timmy Fembele on Nafisha Carter. Then I would have moved Lexi Hall to somebody else. Then I would have probably kept Boston down low under Heisman, which that would have been a little bit better matchup. And then you could have either bring Dances in to play the 3-point line. But if you look at the Indiana Fever in the second half, they was giving up so much 3-pointers on the outside. Actually, they both shot well beyond the arc 3-point line. They shot 45 and 41% behind the 3-point line. Minnesota was 13 for 32. Fever was 13 for 29. But the thing about it is that Minnesota had more assists than them. Caitlin had 8 assists in the game. Then they had 7 steals to turn it over. They both shot from the free throw line pretty good, 85 to, but like I said, Minnesota went to the free throw line 20 times. It was 20 out of 25 times. The Fever was 11 to 13. There was a bunch of times that they could have gone to the free throw line, and that could have swung because every time the Fever got close, there was a big play, a 3-point play that they could have. And this is what the young man on YouTube, he did a video. I think his name Carter, and he said that the Indiana Fever perimeter defense has to get better if they want to make it, because honestly, like the Minnesota, I said the Minnesota Lynx is the best team in the WNBA, and I'm gonna stand by that. They probably the best outside shooting team in the WNBA also. They probably, and you actually cannot allow them to. And if you remember the first game when they played each other, and the Fever did came back because they didn't have Nafisha Cola that game, but they hit a lot of threes from the outside. Um, if the Fever learn to stop switching, they switch a lot. They switch so much, and then they leave that man wide open. They do so much help defense, and this is where Chrissy Side's gonna have to like say, hey, we can't do too much help defense. We're gonna have to like play one on one. If your man get by trying to collapse. Now they did a lot of trapping to get themselves back in the game around the fourth quarter. They did a lot of trapping to force the ball out of their premier ball handler's hand, Minnesota's premier ball handler's hand. But the thing about it is that they're gonna have to continue to really showcase that they got to make stops. They got to play defense. And now Caitlin Clark did say that on the one certain play when she got the block and a steal and went transition, she was trapped. I had rather for her to went all the way to the paint to try to score to get the foul than trying to force a pass, and then it resulted in a turnover. You know what I'm saying? Because that play swung it back into them, because I do believe Minnesota went back down and scored, and then that was pretty much the momentum of the game. They had the momentum going into the game. If you going into the fourth quarter, if you look at it, Minnesota, the Fever outscored Minnesota 26-25 in the fourth, but the third quarter hurt them so much because it was down. I think the most it was down 10, 12 after they was up about 10 or 12 in the first quarter. So Minnesota literally flip it. And like I said, they defense pressure started forcing them a little bit more, started trapping them. They was trapping Caitlin on the baseline, which resulted in a turnover. Boston was getting hacked. She didn't get no fouls, and she was turning the ball over. So Minnesota did what they supposed to do to a young team, But granted, the Fever's still stuck in there. Now, again, I'm going back to where Chrissy Side should not have played Katie Lou Samuelson. Katie Lou Samuelson she's very slow footed. She's not fast. She doesn't move laterally to help out on a defender. Because if she's on a smaller player and they fast and they get by her, she's not going to do anything but end up fouling the person. So that's why I hate to say this. Somebody like Grace Berger could have played in this game. Victoria Saxon could have played in this game, who's a little bit faster. If you had kept Celeste Taylor, and I do want to clear up something. I know our fan base is passionate about this team, but you can't go back and just say, well, you know what? Hey, now we was winning 5-game winning streak. We was winning games. The only second game we lost in the stretch was to the Minnesota Lynx. So I'm not mad about it because Minnesota is a great team. You know what I'm saying? They one of the teams that only had one Olympian on their team, so they fresh. Everybody else fresh. Fisher Collar, how well she gonna play? She got great supporting cast around her. Not saying the Fever don't, but the Fever, Lynn Dunn should have made a move. They should have made a move defensively, offense, defense, especially. If you have if you had somebody like a Sophia Cunningham that could have played perimeter defense and stretched the field, then you would have had more opportunities to push the pace a little bit more. But you don't. So you only could work what you got. Now, the good thing about it is, the Fever still in sixth place. They also now that what's the Oh man, I can't think right now. That that the Connecticut Sun lost. So I think that's a better matchup for the Fever in the playoffs because they don't shoot threes like that. You only got Mabry and Wnba, and you can make them play defense. But a team that shoots lights out, like the Vegas Aces, will be a tough one too because you have to have somebody to match up with the Asia Wilson. But Kelsey Plum is really the only deep and Stephanie Gostafin. They are the only 3 point specialists, but they kind of slow. So Minnesota, I mean, if you think about it, Indiana, a team like Minnesota that can match them speed and shooting, offensive output is not a good recipe for them because Minnesota, the Indiana Fever don't have the lockdown defenders. You need a lockdown defender to lock down the Fisher Carter and make her let everybody else make shots. Now, Caleb McBride was not a factor in this game. She was a factor the first game. This game, she was not a factor. If you look at her stat line, McBride, she only had 3 points this game. She only had 3 points. But guess what? Carlton, I think her name Bridget Carlton. She had 16 points. The Future Caller has 26. Williams had 15. Alana Smith, who used to be with the Fever organization. You know what I'm saying? She used to be with the Fever organization, but Lynn Dunn sent her away, like she did Celeste Taylor. And now look, Alana Smith, every time she plays the Indiana Fever, she gets happy. She has a good game. So that's a person that we could have had that came off the bench right there. That would have been she would have been a better starter than Katie Lou would. You could have started her and Lexi Hall. That's 2 3 point and defense right there. But I mean, like I said, the Fever, they look back and see what they did wrong. But I'm gonna let y'all listen to Caitlin Clark what she had to say about the outcome of the game.
I mean, I think it starts defensively. I think get a stop. I mean, it's going to be hard to win a game when they outscore you by 17 points in a quarter. It's impressive that we got it back to 1 point. And honestly, I thought we played really good in the fourth. And my turnover in transition is what I felt like really kind of ended the momentum for us. I think it was 78-77. I got a block and a steal, and we were running in transition. And honestly, made just a really bad read. I thought the girl was going to come over. She never ended up coming over. So I think defensively is where it has to start. Our first quarter defense was really good. Every quarter besides that was Third quarter was bad. So I think just continue to get better. But we had moments, especially to begin the fourth quarter too, that were a lot better than the other two.
Chris.
So you heard and listened to that, you could tell that Kelsey Mitchell is disappointed. You could look at her posture in there. You could tell that they knew the Indiana Fever knew they let this game get away from them because they had the momentum in the first half. They had everything. They were scoring. They was putting pressure. They was doing anything they could do. But the thing about it is that the one thing Chrissy Sides got to learn to do is make halftime adjustments. Whatever you seen that the Minnesota Lynx was doing, you need to adjust to it. Sure, we adjusted to what y'all was doing because y'all was killing, like I said, y'all was killing them in the paint. 25 points in the paint. So what she did, she made sure every time Aaliyah Boston got the ball, she attacked the paint. She sent them. And she rather live with Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and shooting from the outside than allowing them to pick up fouls in the paint. And this is where Alyssa Smith is supposed to step up for, because you think about it, and this is what Carter, a lot of us have said. when you had an Alyssa Smith starting and you have Aaliyah Boston starting, you got two paint presence. So they kind of like cancel out each other because neither one of them is fast enough to get to the 3-point line. You need somebody that's like, say, if Timmy Van Benling had great shooting ability with her defense, oh man, she'd easily start over Alyssa Smith quick because she could defend out there on the perimeter as well. And she's a great help defender as also. But you don't have that luxury with that because if you really look at your scoring output, Dantas, she's a little, she's not as fast to get up the floor. So you think about it, you got Boston, Mitchell, Clark, Alyssa Smith from time to time. If you only have those, if you only have 3 out of them 4 scoring, it's going to be hard to win games because you need like a Lexi Hall, you need like a Katie Lou, you need the Damaris Dantas to bring some of that output. And that's where Chrissy Side's got to understand. She has to understand that, hey, we need to stress the floor. And I don't understand why she didn't utilize Boston and Damaris Dantas on the floor together, because then that would have stretched. That would have stressed the floor easily for Damaris Dantas. You know what I'm saying? And then they wouldn't be able to pack the paint with them. But knowing that you don't have number Lexi Hall as the threat out there, and Damaris she didn't get a lot of playing time, they crashed in on Aaliyah Boston. You needed Damaris Dantas to be in the game with her to be that stretch 4 out where she could pull people. Then Caitlin could have easily have a better way to penetrate and be able to kick out to Boston or one of the 3-point persons. Then guess what? Then the game would have been a little bit easier because then you would have had Minnesota scrambling. But Chrissy Sides didn't utilize that because Chrissy Sides panicked. She panicked. What she did, when Lexi Hall got in that 5th foul, she panicked instantly to where like, okay, I need to put this person in. She stopped throwing bodies in instead of stick to what was been working for the last 5 games. You know what I'm saying? And she didn't do that. So she didn't do that. But nevertheless, man, the Indiana Fever, they got to turn around and regroup. They got the Land of Dream on Sunday. So that's a game they could pick up. They play at 4:00 on Sunday. So actually that's a game they could pick up. They could do usually what they need to do. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. Until then, you always know what I say at the end of my video. You know what it is. Slidewire Sports Media. Let's go.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire. It's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it. So official, like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire. Sports and entertainment. Let's go.